Hello and welcome friends. I'm Gaurav and along with Ms. Shobha Pandey, I'll be teaching you marketing of services. Let me also tell you that I'll be taking up the first two units while Shobha madam would be taking up the next two units, that is unit 3 and unit 4. Before moving on to the subject, let me give you an idea about the content that we have to cover, the syllabus of marketing of services. Now this is the syllabus. You can pause the video here and can have a detailed look at the syllabus. As I said already that I'll be dealing with unit 1 and 2 while Shobha madam will be taking care of unit 3 and 4. Fine. Now let me, before moving on to the subject, also brief you about the assessment criteria for this particular subject. Now you know already that your internal assessment exams, internals, they carry a weightage of 15 marks out of a total of 30 marks that you are awarded as far as internal assessment is concerned. So this is something that you already know, but you also know that as of now, since because of the pandemic, most of the classes are being conducted online, you have to appear in fortnightly assessments every second Saturday. You have got your online quizzes, so that will be carrying a weight of 5 marks, right? So the online quizzes that you have to attend and which do take place every Saturday, every second Saturday, every alternate Saturday, they would be carrying a weightage of 5 marks. Then we've got the assignment. Assignment is nothing but the lecture notes that you are preparing on a daily basis and which are also getting inspected every Monday. So that will also be carrying a weightage of 5 marks. So you have to show your notes every Monday, and then once the physical classes start, the offline classes start, or the exams commence, you have to submit the notes copy. Then only you would be awarded these 5 marks. So you have to do both the things, complete the notes on a daily basis and show it to whosoever faculty is monitoring you. You have to show the notes to that particular faculty every Monday whenever the inspection takes place, and then you also have to submit the copy which has the notes for the complete syllabus at the end of the semester. So then only you are going to be awarded 5 marks. Now what about the remaining 5 marks? You will have to do a project, a real life project, to secure these 5 marks. And what you have to do in this real life project is, basically what you have to do is you have to pick up any one service firm. There are so many service firms, you know about them. For example, Naukri.com is one. We have got OLX. We can talk about Facebook also as a service firm. We have got IRCTC, which is basically a government agency, but it is a service firm. So there are a number of such firms. You have to pick up just one of these firms, and then you have to try and understand how the topics that we are taking up for discussion in these lectures, they apply to your particular firm that you have taken up. So let me give you an example. If I teach you segmentation, or let's say if I teach you promotion in this particular subject, what you have to talk about is, supposing you have picked up a firm like OLX, you have to talk about how OLX promotes its products, its services. Or for example, if you have taken up Infosys as your company for a study purpose or for project purpose, then you have to tell me how they promote their services. So whatever is being taught in the subject, you have to analyze how it applies to the company that you have picked up, and then you will have to basically present it towards the end of the semester. So this is going to be your project work, and again this is going to be an individual project work. And let me also tell you right now that by 31st of July, that is this coming Saturday, 8 p.m, the students should submit the names of the service firms that they are studying to Abhishek Sharma. Abhishek Sharma would be collecting all the names, and then Abhishek would be sending across this list to me. Is that fine? Please remember, if you somehow are not able to let us know which particular company you would be studying by this particular deadline, then you would be losing marks. So ensure that you provide us this information. Provide this information to Abhishek Sharma by 31st of July. Right? So this is how your assessment is going to look like in this particular semester. Now let me start off with a little introduction of what basically services are. Though you have already studied about services in marketing management and you ideally should be knowing about the difference between a good and a service, still, just to give you an initiation into this particular subject, I'll let you know as to what services are. So now this is an example of a service. I hope you recognize what this is. Basically, this is the space tourism service, and I hope this guy you recognize as Mr. Richard Branson, who became the first person to have launched a space tourism service. In the very first tour, it was Richard Branson himself who went along his other employees of his organization to space. So now this is an example of a service, a space tourism service. And I hope you also recall that around a week after Richard Branson's travel to space, we also had Amazon's Jeff Bezos going to space. So he also launched the same kind of a service, space tourism, right? So this is an example of a service. Now this again is an example of a service. This is a photograph which I have taken up for discussion today. You can recall easily that this is a class going on in Department of Business Administration, and what I basically am trying to show you is that this is a service which is being delivered here. The teacher is teaching the students. Now this is an example of a service. Educational service. Is that fine? So this is an example of a service. Now what basically is service? It is an act or a performance that one party can offer to another, which is intangible and does not result in ownership of anything. Now let me discuss all these points one by one. First thing is, this is some act or a performance. Now let me take up this particular example. Here the teacher is performing something for the students, for the customers. He's delivering a lecture basically, right? That one party is offering to the other. Here in this particular case, who is the party that is offering these services? It is the Degree College Pithoragarh, or it is the Department of Business Administration. And to whom are these services offered? These are the students, the customers to whom these services are being offered. Now please understand, services are often intangible. What do we mean by intangible? You can not see them as such. You cannot touch them. You cannot weigh them. तोल नहीं सकते उसको आप. For example, when you buy a soap, you can see it and touch it also. But in case of these services, can you touch? You cannot. Can you weigh it? You cannot. So this is what we mean by intangibility, and services are intangible. And they do not result in ownership of anything. What do we mean by this? The teacher has taught you, but have you now become owner of something? Compare it with a soap. When you go to a market, buy a soap, now you become the owner of the soap. But in this particular case, when the teacher has taught you in the class, do you start owning something? Do you start owning the lecture that he has taught, or do you start owning the content that he has discussed in the class? No. So you do not start owning anything. The customer does not end up owning anything, and this is one very unique characteristic of service. We'll be discussing them all in detail in the coming sessions. Fine? Now, this basically is a definition which has been given by the marketing guru, Mr. Philip Kotler. Right? Now, let me give you a quick briefing about what are the different kind of service industries that we have. Now, please understand, service are not only provided by private sector organization, but they are also provided by government agencies. For example, the defense service or the law and order service. Now this is a service that is being performed for the citizens of the country, and this is being performed by the government of India or by the agencies affiliated to the government of India. So the services are being provided by government sector also. So this is one categorization of services, those services which are provided by the government sector. Then we have private non-profit sector. What do we mean by non-profit? They are not providing these service for some profit. These are basically NGOs. Now have a look at this particular picture. Now this is an NGO which is probably providing free health checkup to these children. So these are the services which are being offered by this particular NGO, and this is not being done for any profit, right? And that is why we call it private non-profit sector, right? What is the public non-profit sector? It is the government sector. Public means owned by the government, and non-profit, naturally defense services or police services or maybe law and order services are not provided to you by the government in pursuit of some kind of a profit. So that is why government sector can also be called the public non-profit sector. Now the third category is the business sector. Now you know about them already. You have got companies like Infosys, which provide software services. We have got TCS. Then we have got various other firms like Mindtree Consultancies. Then we have got companies like Zomato. They also provide you some service. Then we have got companies like OLX or Ola. So these are all companies, private sector companies, which are providing you services, but they are providing you these services in pursuit of some profit, in pursuit of some revenue. So that is why this is a slightly different category. And then we've got the manufacturing services. Now what is basically manufacturing services? Now I hope you recall your tour to Ashoka Leyland or to Parle. Now please understand, when you go to Ashoka Leyland, you find that somebody must be operating the computers that were managing the production process there, the manufacturing process there. What if those computers break down? So somebody might be providing this kind of maintenance service, computer maintenance service or software maintenance service. So that is an example of a manufacturing services. Manufacturing service is a service which is used by manufacturing firm. Let me give another example. Naturally, there would be some kind of a company which might be providing canteen services to the Ashoka Leyland. So Ashoka Leyland, they may not be having their own canteen. It may so happen that they might ask some other company to provide them those services. So that would be an example of a manufacturing service. The same thing has been depicted here. Basically, if you look at the background here, you would find that this is basically an assembly line and a manufacturing process is going on, and this is the guy who is providing computer maintenance or software maintenance service, right? So these are examples of manufacturing services. Let me give you just one more example of manufacturing services. For example, if an industry is running, in a particular plant is running, naturally some electricity they might be requiring, or they might require gas. What do we mean by gas? LPG or CNG, through which they can run their machines instead of electricity, or they might be requiring water. So those firms which provide those services, they would be called companies which are engaged in providing manufacturing services. Is that fine? So that's all in today's lecture. We'll continue the discussion tomorrow in the next session. Thank you very much.